This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
And I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, Jason Glick. How you doing, man?
Hey, John. Hey, so after blowing off the global manga thing last time, I figured, hey, time to go ahead and give it its due.
Okay.
Okay. So, John, do you know what I mean when I say global manga?
No. What is global manga?
Okay, global manga is basically it's kind of it's manga, only it's created by people who aren't Japanese and don't live in Japan. Mostly.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, basically it's like after it's got a bit roots going back further than that, but basically like after manga blew up in the early 2000s, like all people created a whole new generation of fans who basically said, hey, you know what, that looks cool. I'd like to do this too, instead of actually like just going and creating regular normal American comics like through like Marvel, DC, or like some sort of indie comics publisher or whatnot.
So these are black and white volumes about the same size of manga, except probably not flip backwards, but in the normal format.
Right, and like a lot of this stuff. I mean, like, you look at it and you can tell, like, oh, wait, this looks kind of like manga, but it's not quite. But it's not quite, you know.
I think Tokyo Pop was really popular for publishing a lot of those too. Isn't that correct?
They were, but I've also read that they said it eventually became unprofitable for them because they said that some of their best-selling releases only sold like about half of what some of their top manga licensed titles were selling. And there's also a bit of controversy over the fact that Tokyo Pop also insisted on having co-ownership rights for a lot of their stuff. Well, co-ownership or full ownership, which, you know, like, hey, that's worked out well for Marvel and DC over the years. Despite the fact that it's alienated a lot of creators and just resulted in a generally stagnant industry. But hey, that's a subject for another time. Still, but you know, I get to that in good time. But any I talk about this stuff has to begin with like what I feel is like probably one of the godfathers of this style. I mean, basically, if it wasn't for this guy's work, you'd probably be hearing a much more negative podcast about this stuff. Like, I'm talking about Adam Warren. John, like, that name ringing any bells for you?
Warren does, but not Adam.
Oh, Warren. Adam Warren.
Warren?
Yeah.
Warren, huh? No, it doesn't ring any bells.
Okay, because Warren is best, like, among other things, is best known for being the artist and eventual writer on the English language versions of the Dirty Pair.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. The English language version. So the translations.
Oh no, these are actually original English language creations. Basically, Dark Horse licensed the rights to produce Dirty Pair comics back in the day. The first 3 volumes were written by Torrin Smith, the founder of Studio Proteus, and illustrated by Adam Warren.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Warren took over the writing chores for the series about with subsequent 3 miniseries that were produced, and I've read all of them. The first 2, Biohazards and Dangerous Acquaintances, are just kind of like, you know, standard girls with guns, like mayhem and stuff. Generally, I wouldn't say they're worth your time, but things pick up immensely with the 3rd volume, A Plague of Angels, which have Kei and Yuri being shadowed by a reporter as they chase a crazed android throughout the space station. Warren's stuff, he's always taken a much more satirical approach to the Dirty Pair. It's like basically they acknowledge, like, yes, they're the archetype for like girls with guns type stuff, and so like, well, what kind of stuff where do we go from there? Like, how do we have the? And he acknowledges the fact that yes, these are like scantily clad women going around blowing shit up, and giving us a whole bunch of fan service in the process. But in acknowledging that, he makes it a lot easier to take, and also it's like, in fact, gives it a nice sense of self-satire as well. I mean, like, well, Plague of Angels was fun. The subsequent volumes, let's see if I can remember this. Simhell, which basically have Kei and Yuri being put through a virtual reality test by one of their creative superiors, and also Deadly But Not Serious, which basically has them going to their own convention, which basically a bunch of crazed fanboys have a crazed fan culture has sprung up in in relation to their wanton acts of destruction, and eventually eventually turns on them after this after this bioweapon is introduced into the convention. It's great. It's good stuff, and especially the last volume, Run from the Future, which is just Warren just going nuts, throwing every single crazed future scientific concept he can at the reader, and comes off pretty well, even if it is just style over substance. Now, the reason this is significant for me is because I really enjoyed this stuff, and I didn't even think about the fact that, hey, basically it's just like a bunch of white guys doing making their own interpretations of Japanese culture, and I just look at this and hey, it's just another licensed product from Dark Horse. I mean, hey, it's cool, they do this stuff all the time. So once all this global manga stuff started popping up, my knee-jerk reaction was to think that, these are a bunch of fakers trying to cash in on this thing. They're just riding the wave. There's no merit to this at all. You're just copying a trend. Then it occurs to me, well, wait a second, but that's basically what Adam Warren and Torrance Smith were doing back in the day. So maybe there's more to this stuff than I first thought. Now, I don't have a huge collection of this stuff because most of it is actually fairly derivative and kind of unoriginal. And there's also a lot of stuff that basically has details really manga influenced, but doesn't actually have a lot of but is not actually it's not trying to be manga itself. I point to Stan Sakai's Sagi Yojimbo and Kazuo Kibuishi's Amulet series of graphic novels. Both they've clearly got Japanese influences, but they're not doing a strictly manga style per se. Now, as far as I can, basically, looking through my library here, the first thing off the top of my head I can grab here is Dramacon by Svetlana Chmakova. Now, this is a series that it's about this girl. It's about this girl, Christy. She's a budding artist who's got this got this comic she's doing with a friend of hers, and it's basically the first volume. It's 3 volumes, and the first one covers her trips to this convention. Now, to be honest, I am so far out of the target demographic for this thing. It's funny. I mean, it's basically intended for teenage fangirls, but I gotta admit, I like this. I mean, she loves using the chibi stuff. It's for art, but but her style's got a real high sense of energy, and it's great, and and her art is really cool to look at. I mean, she's got a great sense of style, great sense of energy, and she knows how to tell a story. It's a lot. It's a lot of fun, and even though the first volume has some growing pains, basically shows her meeting up with going to the convention with her boyfriend, who I can't remember his name. I think it was Derek, but he's basically just asshole boyfriend because he's just being an asshole throughout the entire volume, and eventually meeting up with her true love Matt, like a sensitive soul who lost an eye in an accident. He's also got a deeply sarcastic side, but it's just you look at these two and it's just hey, it's love at first sight. You're meant to be together. Now, the first volume just has a whole lot of complications and eventually getting them together, and the second volume actually does a great job in dispensing with a lot of these complications, while at the same time introducing some new ones. Second volume is the high point of the series, as it does a job of not having a strict plot to follow, but just a lot of just a lot of incident a lot of incidents and scenes just strung together to form a loose narrative. But all these scenes are pretty entertaining, even if the point where we can tell that she's doing her Svetlana's doing her own little take on why the on getting acceptance for global manga. I mean, a lot of this. I mean, on one hand, I can understand a lot of the arguments for this, but to be honest, the point is, I mean, she does the whole pizza argument, which I think is it's interesting arguing the fact that, hey, you know what? If you like pizza, it's hey, it's why, that saying, manga's like pizza. I mean, hey, if you're gonna, in the sense that, hey, it's pizza is a food from another country. If you're if you want, and hey, if you're not asking for real pizza, real Italian pizza, then like it's kind of the same thing. But but the thing with that is I realize pizza's gotten to the point where hey, you know what? I wasn't raised on Italian pizza. I was raised on Round Table, the king of all pizzas, from down the block from. So, I mean, it's on one hand, that's another issue that global manga faces. In fact, that it hasn't been around for a while, and we can actually still clearly tell what's Western America, what's in Japan, and just make judgments based on that. But still, DramaCon's it's a lot of fun, even if the third volume does fall back on a lot of traditional traditional problems as Christie's partner artistic partner Bethany getting some conflicts with her mother about what she wants to do with the rest of her life. It's not bad, but it's also I kept feeling like the second volume is still the high point of the series. All right. Now, since then, Svetlana has gone on to create a new series for Yen Press. Because, those ownership issues I was talking about with Tokyo Pop? Mm-hmm. Well, apparently she was on the wrong end of that, and now she's got her own series through Yen Press. Ah. Yeah. So this is called Night School, the Weirn books. And the high concept of this series is takes about a high school where creatures of the night, werewolves, vampires, ghosts, and other creatures go to earn their diplomas and stuff for monster type stuff. Okay. Now, I like this series. Basically it focuses on Alex, homeschooled. It's like a homeschooled witch who eventually finds out she has to attend school after her sister disappears and suddenly no one can remember where she came from. So she has to go to the school her sister was teaching at in order to track down things and find out what exactly was going on. Now, I like this. Now, generally like the series so far. It shows that Svetlana has improved as an artist. She's definitely tackling a much more broader in scope. It's much more tightly plotted. But the issue I have with it is more of a world building thing because I like the idea of a school for monsters. I mean, that's a cute high concept. It's kind of owes a bit to Harry Potter and all, but hey, if you're gonna steal from the best. But the problem is that there's all these other bits about the world that she hasn't gotten around to explaining yet that I feel are kind of crucial to the conflict. Because apparently there are warring factions in this world. Now, I'd like to be able to talk to you more about these factions, but apparently, but she hasn't gotten around to explaining them yet. Because, you got the Nightkin, and you got the humans, the hunters, who are apparently, at war or, out to police these creatures. It's not made entirely clear. And it's I'd love to know more about this, this treaty that they supposedly have together, why the humans apparently, are living in why the human hunters are living in warehouses and whatnot. On one hand, it's good enough that it makes me want to learn about this stuff, but on the other hand, I'm still waiting for an explanation. And also, this the thing is the first three, they're up to volume 3 with volume 4 coming out, I believe, in October, and we're still on the introductory arc. So it's just. And it's I don't know if she's planning to do more beyond this, but it's just for 4 volumes for the introductory arc that just it feels like way too much. I don't think not even the first volume of Harry Potter was that long. So, but but I'm comparing apples to oranges here, in text versus
graphic novel,
versus sequential art. So, but still, it's I can't help but thinking that this could have been condensed down to a 6-issue miniseries. If Marvel had done it, but it would have been very, very different had done that. So let's not talk about it anymore. Okay, all right. Moving on to something what I think is it's a forgotten classic or a minor classic in my opinion. That's Neotopia by Rod Espinoza. This is published by Antarctic Press, who I believe are still around, and they were some of the earliest people to jump on the global manga bandwagon back in the days when you could refer to as something like, say, a mirror manga or original English language manga. They made their name with titles like Ninja High School and Gold Digger. But Neotopia is kind of like the short version I can give you for this series is kind of like a hippie tree hugger version of Nausicaa the Valley of Wind with a more like tropical island bent to it. Now, basically, it's the story of Nalin, a lowly servant girl who spends her time pretending that she's the Grand Duchess of the country of Methenia, because the real Grand Duchess wants to rock and roll all day and party every night. Nalin just basically winds up taking over her duchessly duties and just doing her own thing, but just getting a beat down because whenever she does the wrong thing. Now, the problems begin when the armies of the lands of Krosos, they're you can tell they're the bad guys because whenever you see them, they're all done in they're drawn in very dark colors. They've got really nasty mecha looks to them, and also very very scary ghostly wizards and stuff. They basically want to take over the world and basically bring back the age of industry. So basically, you want to make things mechanized, make things more like they are in our world today, as opposed to how things are in the current age of enlightenment of the series, where everyone's living in harmony with nature, everyone gets along. These guys want to go ahead and bring back the ways of man to this world. Now, the thing is, it's a good all ages book. Now, it's got a great sense of adventure, very very well defined characters, and in the way of Nalin, her quasi love interest Philos, the little boy who loves tinkering with the tech of the old world, her dolphin buddy Kiek, her brownie friend Nim. It's a good cast, and even though you'll spot that some of these characters were kind of borrowed from other more notable works of science fiction and fantasy, like Star Wars, for example. It still does. Espinosa does a great job of defining the characters and developing his world as well. And the art is actually really phenomenal. I mean, the volumes that they've released are in like manga-sized format. But I think this could not only be blown up to standard comic book dimensions, but even bigger than that, to like oversized Marvel hardcover dimensions. It's like,
oh, damn it!
Epic story that ties things up nicely. I mean, it's good. It's great fun. Great fun. I really enjoyed reading it. And I also want to go ahead and read more stuff from Espinosa. But the only thing I'm aware that he's done recently is like a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. That doesn't really grab me by any means. But by all means, if you like good adventure stuff that reminds you of Nausicaa the Valley of Wind, by all means, pick up all 4 volumes of Neotopia. And if you're a kid, then hey, you're gonna love this too, because I've been passing some of this stuff off to one of my coworkers' kids, and she tells me that she loves this stuff. So, okay, now getting to a more recent thing, and this is something I picked up at Comic-Con. This is King of RPGs, written by the man, the myth, the legend, Jason Thompson. Now, I've talked a bit about on the main side how I love hearing this guy speak at Comic-Con. He's also written Manga the Complete Guide, and with King of RPGs, the man proves that he can write as well as he can speak. Now, okay, and it's got illustrations by a guy named Victor Howe. Now, Howe's a good, competent storyteller, even though a lot of this stuff strikes me as very rough around the edges in terms of taking look at the characters, the anatomy, and the world. But it's a good first effort, and I can see how I can get better from here. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Basically, the plot of this story starts off with the arrival of Shesh Maccabee, like a high school, a college freshman at the University of Escondido, and he's basically he's a recovering online gaming addict. Basically, he was he was one of those guys that just spend all his time going on World of Warcraft and just like leveling up to the point where he basically developed a separate personality where he just went around and just like role played as his online character at the time. But fortunately, with a lot of therapy and a lot of meds, he's able to be cured of his addiction, and until the day he winds up getting into a tabletop RPG session, with a game master named Theodore. Now Theodore's like one of those like hardcore DMs who's all about like wants to get people into the realm of wants to experience it as it is. Like just give like he wants to make you feel that you're in that dark dungeon, complete with cockroaches, snakes, and like dungeon smells, which he does bring to his gaming session at all. Mm-hmm. Now after the initial session winds up bringing out Chesh's personality as a crazed thief. Theodore realizes that Chesh has the potential to be one of the greatest role players ever, like a guy who gets so into his characters that he just supersedes all other facets of his personality. Problem is that Chesh's personality is a very one-note violent type that loves to cause lots of chaos and destruction, and that gets him a problem when he crosses paths with Gavin, one of the that's like a guy who likes to make his money trying to like give all people all the good deals on games and profit at their expense. Now this leads to a great big showdown with a new game, but overall I was really impressed with this volume. I mean, it's like mainly because like not only does Thompson do a good job capturing the spirit of college and the gamer mentality. I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a very, very nerdy book, but it's written by a man who clearly has great passion for this stuff. And hey, I'll admit that if you're not into this kind of stuff, you might be turned off. But Thompson's passion and knowledge about this kind of stuff. I mean, if you've ever been involved in like a tabletop RPG session, a lot of this stuff is going to be immediately familiar to you because he just gets the rhythms of the characters and their gaming sessions down stone cold. It's also impressive by the fact that he pulls off a couple cool narrative tricks, because you start off thinking that with Shesh's buddy Mike, the nerdy anime gamer type, he's the kind of guy who he role plays girls all the time. He's that kind of guy. And it's like, but Mike's only here to serve as a point of view character, just to get you acquainted with the cast. And as soon as Theodore shows up, he's quickly dropped by the wayside as Shesh and Theodore take over as the real co-protagonists of this series. The other thing is that a lot of this stuff, teeters at the edge of being completely unrealistic. I mean, some of this stuff like Chesh's personality, the lengths Theodore goes to immerse people in a game, the dungeon that one of the gamer store owners has underneath his place. I mean, a lot of stuff might seem completely unrealistic, but if you think about it, you think, no, technically I can imagine stuff like this actually happening in real life. Just it's just completely unlikely. But he does a good job of achieving this hyperreal, this feeling of hyperreality in this. Like in this volume, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where he goes with this. Like he told me at the con that Volume 2 should be out in the near future, so I'm definitely looking forward to picking this up. And hey, if you're a gamer, if you're a tabletop gamer, you have yourself to pick this up too. Everyone else, well, depends on how hardcore of a nerd you are, because like it's like I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I highly recommend it to anyone else who's looking at this stuff. Now, next time I want to talk about is someone who actually achieved the ideal, the dream of like actually creating Japanese manga. This is Pipochu by Felipe Smith. Now, I say achieved the dream because like this actually is manga by conventional standards. Because he's an American guy, but he also lives in Japan, and he created this 4 manga magazine published in Japan in in authentic right to left format. I mean, it's published by Vertical, and in an unflipped format. So basically, by all standards, sensible standards, like, it is manga. And so, like, on one hand, essentially it's a watershed moment for a lot of creators, by saying, hey, you know what? If you have the energy and the passion, you can be a real legit creator of manga here. That being said, how is this series as the watermark for all, like, for future standards? Well, you know, I don't think it's bad, but let's just say that I can definitely see that there's lots of room for improvement here, because the thing is, like, I've heard about like Smith's energy and passion for creating comics, and the thing is, and it's evident from the very beginning of the series, but it's dialed way up to 11 from the basically from the very beginning. And when you start out at that level, like, just maintaining that energy throughout the rest of the volume, like, well, it is not only A, tough, and B, if you do manage to be completely go like operate at that level, you're just going to wear the audience out. And that's not to mention the fact that there's lots and lots of gratuitous sex and violence here. Now, generally, I'm not one to complain about this kind of stuff, but I will say that it is truly gratuitous here, to the point where it's like, it's like, you could have just toned this down to PG-13 levels, and you wouldn't have missed anything at all. But okay, I realize I've gotten ahead of myself here, and I haven't told you anything about what this is about. Now, the story is basically about Milton, a ultra hardcore geeky anime fan who loves this show called Pipochu, which bears no resemblance to any anime that I've ever seen, but it's just meant to capture the whole alien, like, crazy Japanese like style of other shows. Like, the nearest analog for something like this I can think of is Jungle wa Ichimo Hare no Chigu, which is just, anyone who's seen it just knows it's absolutely batshit insane, but not to the point of narrative incoherence that the series we see here is. And you look at this, but Milton, it's like, he's a hard kid to identify with, because he's just so ridiculously fanboyish that it's hard. That on one hand, like, even if you it's hard to really identify or empathize with him, because he's just so ridiculously into this material. I mean, like, even if you are like him, you're gonna look at him and say, no, I'm not that bad. But chances are the only way people look at him and say, yeah, people look at him and say, like, yeah, I know other people are that crazy, but I don't want to spend an entire volume with this kid. But he's also interesting in the sense that he also has to pretend to be like a hardcore gangster when he's going to school, and that's the thing that gives me hope for the series, because this is a series well, it's been said Japan is like a country of masks. People have got their public faces and their private faces, and that's something that's touched upon in this volume, because Milton has those. The guy who owns the comic store that he frequents has those looks. He's a mild-mannered comic book owner, comic store owner by day. He's a crazed mercenary serial killer by night. And then you've got the crazy Japanese gangster who wants to be a hardcore yakuza, but originally started out as a pathetic nobody. Then his older superior, who is an actual gangster but is now trying to go legit. I want to see where he goes with this stuff, but so far it's just like so completely and ridiculously over the top that I worry that it's going to do nothing but trade in shock value throughout the rest of the series. But the next volume is due for release in a couple weeks. So hopefully I have more to say about this right here. But still, for a first effort, I don't know. To be honest, if I was going to show people the best that Global Manga had to put forth, I would have sent them some of the other stuff I've talked about to do that. But maybe that's this is what it takes in order to succeed in Japan. But oh well, we'll see where it goes from here. Okay, last but not least, we're coming full circle to talk about Adam Warren's current work, Empowered, which is due for a new volume, I believe, either later this month or next. Now, Empowered is a story of a girl we only know as Empowered, or M for short, who basically has get superpowers through her super suit, which is skin tight, easily torn, which leaves her in lots of compromising positions. Making matters even worse is that her powers are proportional to how intact her suit is. So the more torn it gets, the less effective she becomes, and well, we'll I'll just leave that to your imagination.
Right.
Yeah. Fortunately, it's the series is kind of trades on that kind of superhero bondage imagery, but which isn't surprising because the character started out as a series of superhero bondage sketches that some guy commissioned from Warren, but it's actually progressed a bit beyond that. I mean, he still trades a lot in superhero fan service, but he doesn't make it exclusively about humiliating his main character, and it's actually fun to see her triumph. And actually she gets a decent boyfriend, eventually triumphs over some of her villains, but it's ultimately it's she's still definitely not A-list material. And just to get an idea how ridiculous things can go, I mean, her boyfriend is a superhero thug named Thug Boy. Her superhero team is called Super Homies, and her arch nemesis, well, quasi arch nemesis for superheroes is Sister Spooky, who essentially at first you think just hates her for being pathetic, but finds out that apparently Empowered's icy blonde Nordic goddess looks basically remind her of all the girls who used to look down on her at high school. So the series has been a lot of fun, but the thing is, the first volume and the fourth volumes are the best, because the first volume Warren does this thing in very short chapters. Now, it might seem odd at first, but eventually, reading through this, you get the feeling that he's just done a good parts version of these stories. I mean, he could have done full issues based on any of these things, but any of the stories he does in these chapters. But generally, the way it comes out, you get the same effect as you normally would from reading a full issue, just from reading these short stories right here. And I think that works really well, and it builds up to it, and eventually culminates in a nice, basically a nice ending at the end, but a nice resolution at the end of the volume. Now, volumes 2 and 3 aren't bad, but they kind of trade on diminishing returns. Even if they prove that Warren definitely knows how to A, open a volume, and B, close it, as he's clearly telling an ongoing story here, but he's just not telling you telling it to you in concentrated chunks throughout the course of each volume. That changes in volume 4 when Empowered basically the superhero awards show up, and Empowered finds out she's nominated for superhuman most deserving of wider recognition. And problem is, this turns out to be this year's event turns out to be a big trap to get all the major that this year's festivities turns out to be a big event to get to lure all the superhumans into a trap to so on one of their members who's been humiliated by them repeatedly over the years can get their revenge. It's I like the fact that he's transitioned to doing an ongoing a volume length story with 4, even if that doesn't quite it doesn't quite maintain that thing throughout volume 5. But I like where he's going with the characters. As not only is Empowered slowly gaining more confidence, we also found out a lot of stuff about her former boyfriend Thug Boy, who who basically we found out that not only did he use is he formerly a supervillain henchman, he also used to join a Cape Killer squad back in San Antonio. So basically, all the he's kind of so if everyone found out his past history, he'd actually be number one amongst superhuman community's most wanted. Then, okay, let's see, what was I going to say? Completely lost my train of thought here, but the main issue I have with the series, like at this point, is that Warren writes good, funny dialogue. His diction, his choice of words, gets wearying after a while. It's deliberate. The stuff is deliberately overwrought, and it can be funny for a while, but at around volume 5, I'm starting to wish he'd just dial it back a bit. Oh, now I remember what I was going to say. Volume 4 also introduces us to what is one of the sensational character finds of the decade, the goddamn Maid Man. Now, basically, he's basically exactly what it sounds like. He's basically a guy in a maid's costume, goes around beating up supervillains. He's basically imagine Batman's awesomeness, it's like character as awesome as Batman, only wearing a maid suit. It's completely ridiculous, but Warren treats it dead straight, and it's just that much more funnier because of that. It's another reason I love Volume 4 so much. But also, I'm also looking forward. Also in Volume 4, in Volumes 5, he does do some good character work at the end, as Sister Spooky comes face to face with the loss of one of her lovers, and also Willie Pete, the a flame elemental who was Thug Boy's last supervillain henchman boss before he split. He mostly split from the life. Basically comes calling on them. It's good stuff. I'm really looking forward to seeing where things go with it. I mean, I love the fact that with volumes 1 through 4 we got them on a 6-month basis, but now with volumes 5 and 6, it seems like Warren has shifted towards giving them to us once every year. And no, I don't want that. I want every 6 months, man. It's like I love this. Like I want to see where you're going with this, and I want to see more of it. I mean, granted, it's probably like the ridiculous the series' inherent sexiness and fan service it's definitely not to be everyone's taste, but it's definitely a lot smarter than you expect for a series that trades in that kind of stuff. So I'd recommend it to the more adventurous fans of this kind of stuff. And that's pretty much all I have. So on one hand, let me just conclude this by saying the reason I didn't talk about what is probably by and large, the most successful and widely known of English language manga, Fred Gallagher's Mega Tokyo, is because I've read Mega Tokyo several years ago, found it to be very well illustrated, and just not having a plot or characters that I was interested in at all.
Yeah, it's more like your Sunday morning comic, huh?
Yeah.
Or it's there.
It's there. I mean, like the storyline's just not interested, non-existent, just unfocused. And hey, if you want to say that I'm wrong, then hey, it's like, well, that's what the site's here for. So hey, let me know. But otherwise, I think it's junk. And I'd be talking about it more right now, but I got better things to do with my time than actually pay to read it, or just go over to the site and leaf through the archives. So, yeah. And on that note, let me just say that it's that original English language manga. It's first I thought it was something to be derided, but now it's no, there's quality work being done in the field. Granted, it's by a few people, but I figure it's only going to get better as things go on. So it's just eventually it's hey, I'm sure it'll be around long enough that hey, people won't be able to make the distinction between things, but we're stuck a decade, maybe even more, away from being to that point. So best of luck to all the creators here, and hey, and I look forward to reading more from all of the creators that I discussed in this podcast. And god damn, this went on for fucking ever. So, just going to call it a night, everyone, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time.
All right. Take you later.